Before we lost him in 2025, Hulk Hogan wasn't just a wrestling icon, he was a brand, and most importantly, a multi-millionaire. From the moment he slammed Andre the Giant in front of 33 million viewers, Hogan's life changed forever.
I was thinking, this is going to be the greatest day of my life. It's not going to go well, but it was the greatest day of my life. That day changed my life forever.
Fame followed, and so did fortune. But have you ever wondered how he really lived behind the cameras? From waterfront mansions to muscle cars and custom jets, we are listing them all. If you know Hulk Hogan, you know modesty can't be part of his dictionary. He lived large, and today we are looking at 6 outrageous luxuries that define the legendary life of this wrestling icon. And wait till you hear about the most extravagant one yet. Let's get into it. 6. Mansions. When it came to a place to live, Hulk Hogan went all out. We are talking of a waterfront mansion where each inch of his home reflected the success he fought for. Let's start with his final residence, a 5,400 square foot estate in Clearwater, Florida. Built in 2012 and later expanded in 2016, a mansion that was designed with comfort and class in mind. Originally, he bought his Clearwater residence at $3.3 million and expanded with a $1.6 million bungalow next door. Here, even the balconies look like luxury hotel suites. Inside is proof that Hulk Hogan is a man who knew how to enjoy the high life without compromise. And so, the mansion featured a 2-way staircase, a spiral chandelier, and hardwood floors that shone under natural light. There was also a wine cellar, a residential elevator, and even a private media theater. At the time of his death, this property was worth $11.5 million. It gets better. Hogan also had a 17,000 square foot Bellaire estate, custom built in the 90s on 2.3 acres of prime Florida waterfront. This wasn't some house he bought off the market. This crown jewel was actually rebuilt. Hogan tore down the original house just to build his dream haven, complete with 7 fireplaces, a resort-style pool with cascading waterfalls, 2 private docks, and even a museum filled with wrestling collectibles. The master suite overlooked the beach, and there was even a club room with a wet bar. He originally asked $25 million for the mansion. That's how luxurious it was. And if the mansions impressed you, wait until you hear about this next one. Hogan didn't just live like a champion, he flew like one, because when you are larger than life, commercial flights just don't cut it anymore. 5. Private jets. Hulk Hogan was a man of momentum, and momentum doesn't wait around at TSA lines. While there are no records confirming Hogan actually owned a private jet, he flew like he owned one. Throughout the peak of his career, and even in retirement, Hogan was frequently sighted on private jets. Specifically, the Gawker 800 XP was his personal favorite. It's a sleek, mid-size executive jet that's well known for its luxurious cabin and 2,500-mile range. With soft leather seats, polished wood veneers, and in-flight Wi-Fi, the Gawker 800 XP isn't your average jet, and it's super fast. It can hit cruising speed of 515 miles per hour, go over storms, and land on runways that are too short for commercial planes. The cost of one? Oh, just about $5 million, but taking private flights on one might just be more expensive in the long run. It costs between $5,000 to $5,500 a flight hour, and for someone like Hulk Hogan, who frequently traveled for media appearances, vacations, and business ventures, this wasn't just luxury, it was a lifestyle. But this specific luxury came with a risk. In 2019, Hogan's private jet made headlines after a terrifying landing in Iceland. The brakes overheated and the landing gear failed. He walked away shaken but safe. And still, Hogan kept flying private because in his world, time is money and comfort is a non-negotiable. Coming up next, let's talk watches, because Hulk Hogan sure did keep his wrist iced up. 4. Watches. Hulk Hogan didn't just wear watches, he wore statement pieces. And when he strapped one on, it would have been hard to miss it. The highlight is his 18-karat yellow gold Rolex Yacht-Master. With its champagne dial, bold bezel, and water resistance, it was a luxury watch built to stand out. Rolex magazine even suggested Hogan as an ideal ambassador for the brand. Another key masterpiece in his watch collection is the Breitling Chronomat Evolution, a pilot's chronograph redesigned with oversized indices and sporty appeal. Hogan often rocked one with a diamond-encrusted bezel blending Swiss precision with the flashy swagger of a wrestling icon. While Hogan's watch collection didn't feature the ultra-rare ones like Patek Philippe, he picked watches that you'd notice all the way from the back, gold, polished steel, and unapologetically big. And they weren't cheap either. These pieces totaled well into 6 figures. The Rolex Yacht-Masters in gold and diamond detailed Breitlings often cost anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 $100,000 each, with customizations adding even more. Coming up next, let's take a closer look at what Hulk Hogan was doing with that massive beachfront residence. 3. Boats and jet skis. Of course, Hulk Hogan owned a boat. What else would you buy if you were living in a 17,000 square feet waterfront mansion? And no, it wasn't some rented boats. There's one specific custom-built speedboat that was nicknamed Immortal. This boat costs upwards of $400,000, and that's before custom branding and engine upgrades. According to insider reports, Hogan went all the way out, making this boat one of a kind. With its thundering engines, red and yellow stripes paint job and capacity to tear through the Florida coast like a knife, this boat had earned the name Immortal, and it didn't stop at the Immortal. Hulk Hogan also had other docked vessels and water toys that made the ocean a part of his everyday life. Owning more than one boat tells a different story, and Hogan loved convenience and the spectacle. Now, from the sea to the street, Hulk Hogan's car collection was legendary. 2. Legendary car collection. Hulk Hogan's garage was the very definition of horsepower and attitude. He owned a car collection that roared just as loud as he did, and the crown jewel, his custom 1994 Dodge Viper RT10, painted in red and yellow to match his legendary Hulkamania vibes. With its side exhaust growl and unmistakable design, this car screamed wrestling royalty, and when Hogan auctioned it for charity, it sold for around $75,000. People were fighting to get their hands on this thing, but the Viper was just the beginning. Hulk Hogan appreciated classic American muscle cars. He drove a 1966 Chevrolet Impala SS, and a 1973 Plymouth Barracuda sat beside it in his garage. He also owned a 1965 Ford Galaxy 500 for that vintage flair, and a 1952 Ford F1 pickup, which was rough around the edges to match his persona. But it wasn't all American muscle cars in his garage. He was seen several times in a Dodge Challenger SRT Demon, a modern-day monster with over 800 horsepower, capable of hitting 60 miles per hour in just over 2 seconds. This car alone had a price tag of $180,000, and it fit his aesthetics perfectly, flashy and aggressive. Next up, you have seen his lifestyle, but let's look at the empire that paid for it. 1. Business empire. Long before athletes knew how to turn their brands into empires, Hogan was already building his own. It all started with Hogan Energy, a highly publicized energy drink that didn't live for long but made some impact. Then came the Hulkster burgers, which were basically frozen cheeseburgers sold in supermarkets with his face on the box. In 2012, that's when Hulk decided to go full entrepreneur mode. He opened Hogan's Beach, a massive beach-themed restaurant and bar in Tampa. The business venture was later rebranded and replaced, but it was proof that Hogan could still pack a crowd even without stepping back on the ring. He also opened Hogan's Hangout, another Florida restaurant where fans could indulge in wings and burgers while watching Hulk Hogan himself host karaoke nights. But perhaps his most successful venture, Hogan's Beach Shop, with locations in Orlando and Clearwater. Here you could buy anything from t-shirts, $3,500 signed belts, autographed posters worth over $1,000, and $6,000 ring-worn shorts. This was a holy grail for his die-hard fans. Also, we cannot forget his massive social media platforms, where he promoted products and kept the Hulk brand alive long after his last body slam. Together, all these business ventures were valued in the low to mid 8-figure range. Hogan knew how to flip the dollar and multiply it, but nothing comes close to the monumental movement when Hulk Hogan won a lawsuit against Gawker, the gossip site, after they had published an unauthorized intimate video of him without his consent. Gawker refused to take the video down, making Hogan pursue legal action. The jury sided with Hogan, awarding him $140 million in damages, but through appeals and negotiations, the final payout was around $31 million. This was not just a record in legal history, it was a redemption arc that many did not expect. After his messy divorce in 2009, Hogan lost about 70% of his net worth. The lawsuit put him back on top, ensuring he could still continue living large. So, as you can see, Hulk Hogan didn't just live large, he lived legendary. From muscle cars to mansions, he turned fame into fortune and made every moment count. But the question is, when your final bell rings, what legacy will you leave behind? Let us know in the comments.